Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Northern Kentucky Spotlight Podcast, presented by CVG. I'm your host, Sarah Brookbank. Hope you guys are having a great Monday so far. We're going to wrap up the workday with a great episode of the podcast. First up, we are joined by Mauldin of GoGoMeds.com, who highlights the Southgate-based online pharmacy and how they can help you and your pets get your prescriptions. On NKY Work, Nancy Spivey is joined by Sheena Parton, Director of Corporate Business Services for Huff Realty, who highlights why having a relocation package is really important to employers. Thank you to our podcast sponsors, CVG, our title sponsor, Z-Crew Consulting, our digital sponsor, and our episode sponsor, Haran. Are you registered yet for our next government forum? This one features Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. Governor Beshear will join the Northern Kentucky Chamber for the January Government Forum to discuss the state of Kentucky, including the recent awarding of federal funding grants for the Brent Spence Bridge Corridor project, as well as his 2023 priorities, which include job creation, the electric vehicle revolution, investments in lithium and the bourbon industries, and transportation across the state. This event will take place on Tuesday, January 31st, starting at 11:30 at the Radisson Hotel in Covington. You can register now for that event at nkychamber.com/events or nkychamber.com/govforum. Now, let's go meet our members of the week, hear from our sponsors, and Nancy and I will be back here with your guests.
CVG Airport is the lowest fare airport in the tri-state region with 54 nonstop flights and direct international service to 7 destinations, including Paris, France, and now home to both DHL's and Amazon's global cargo hubs. The airport is furthering its position as leader in aviation and is deeply committed to being an economic driver for the community. You can learn more and start your next adventure at cvgairport.com.
Ranking on Google Search and Maps is easy to understand, but hard to do. It requires constant effort and attention, uploading new photos, responding to Google reviews, writing weekly posts, and checking suggested updates. Google listing optimization takes experience and time, and there are no shortcuts. Z-Crew gives your Google My Business account the steady, consistent attention it needs to be effective, optimizing, updating, and expanding critical content every single week. From local retail stores to large regional networks, Z-Crew generates content, establishes benchmarks, and creates dramatic, measurable increases in engagement. So what can Z-Crew do for your business? More calls, more clicks, more clients.
Congratulations to our members of the week. You can learn more about these businesses by following the Northern Kentucky Chamber on social media, where we will highlight one of these businesses each day. Now, let's meet our members of the week. As a leader in payment processing and digital marketing solutions, Evolve has creative, cost-effective programs for all types of businesses. The Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport has been serving commercial passengers since 1947, and it is now one of the nation's fastest-growing airports. Mayfield Brain and Spine is the region's premier neurosurgery practice. They diagnose and treat conditions including brain tumors, degenerative disc disease, sciatica, herniated discs, and stroke. KRM Trucking Inc. is a logistics company providing dedicated service for FedEx Ground. Junk King is a professional junk removal company offering top-shelf customer service. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Today we have Mauldin, CEO of GoGoMeds.com. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so Cole, you guys are a fairly new company. So tell me about GoGoMeds.
Yeah, sure. So this iteration of GoGoMeds was really started in 2019 by our chairwoman, Kimberly Kozlowski. I was actually brought in as the CTO at the time. We were really a traditional mail order pharmacy, which I won't bore you with too much of the details, but that really looked like kind of a phone call, price out medication, and ship the medication out. Why I was brought in was to help transition that from that type of setting into a more digital healthcare type company, solving the more complex problems in the space at large. So that's a little bit about the company. A little bit about my background and why that made sense for me was I used to deliver systems to state governments to help with childcare and the healthcare exchange type integrations. So I'm very familiar with patient security and that level of care to the end user. Because in the space we're in, if there's an issue with that level of care, the medication, it can be hazardous to the patients.
Right, of course. And so tell us how it works. I know that for someone like me,
that style company, I'm used to going to like a Walgreens. So tell us what, like how the process works for you guys.
Yeah, sure. So it's we've made it very easy to use. The website's gogomeds.com. You go to the website and you search for your medication. At that point, we pull back medications, either the brand name or the generic, and that designation is important because the generic is the exact same thing as the brand. It's just much cheaper. And from there, you add as many medications as you need to the cart. One of our core tenets is price transparency. So you see exactly what you're going to pay upon checkout. Shipping is free, so there's not going to be any additional charges there unless you would like to expedite it. From there, you just fill out some basic information about your profile for our pharmacists and tell us how we're going to get the prescription either from your doctor or transferred in from another pharmacy. It's very simple. It takes about 2 minutes. And once we establish that relationship, refills are very easy. And if we get a new prescription for you, we'll just email or text you, and you go through an expedited process to check out.
Okay, so that makes it seem like very easy, very straightforward, which I'm sure is one of the benefits to using you all as opposed to going to like a more traditional pharmacy.
Sure. And actually, it kind of expands from there. That's really our direct consumer model, right? For any of your listeners or anybody watching that's kind of on the employer side, we also take that entire experience and rebrand it. So it can look like, the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce Pharmacy, for example. And we also do a lot of back-end fulfillment for telemedicine platforms and things of that nature. So we have a wide variety of services from the individual all the way to the employer and other businesses out there.
Yeah, so that definitely is something that sets you apart from a standard pharmacy and other companies that are similar to you. Is there anything else that really sets you guys apart?
The technology, that's a big core component. The amount of times that we've had groups that are in the healthcare space or healthcare adjacent that have come with problems that are something that not necessarily a pharmacy can accomplish, we've been able to tailor our systems to provide this type of solutions, especially in relation to solving problems in the pandemic.
Yeah, and why did you guys go about doing that? Like, why did you guys set out to be so different?
Because it's really a need. I think the healthcare space has a tendency to be opaque and very difficult for the end user to see what they're paying for and how it's being charged back to them or their employer through their insurance. So by implementing very efficient, safe, and transparent solutions, we feel like that we're giving the power back to the patient in the healthcare space, where sometimes it doesn't feel like that way as a patient.
Yeah, and you guys are a local-based company. You guys are based out of Southgate. So tell us how you guys came to be here in Northern Kentucky.
Well, so I'm from Indianapolis originally. So the culture was a great fit for me. I'm just up the road. And the intangibles as far as, you can build systems that are incredibly efficient and very user-friendly. But unless you have the right kind of people behind those systems, providing that level of care to patients, compassionate, patient-oriented, and understanding that you may be getting a phone call from someone who's not in a great situation from a healthcare perspective. So that's the culture aspect of it. And those are the intangibles you can't really replace elsewhere, at least
right.
I feel. From a geographic perspective, we're in a great position for shipping of medications.
Mm-hmm.
Through traditional postal services, we're about 2 to 2.5 days from coast to coast when we ship from our facilities, which is very important when everybody kind of has the 2-day shipping model drilled into them.
And one of the things that you guys care about is you want to make an impact on the community, the local community specifically. So talk with me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. That's very important. As I kind of illustrated my background, I think it's important to, if you're going to do something, it's really important that you're giving back, either through the systems or the job that you're providing, or through giving back to the community through employer-driven solutions or initiatives. One of the things we've done for the first time this season is we've been adopting families through an organization called the Wish Tree.
Mm-hmm.
That I did at a couple previous organizations, and it's a really great culture drive internally, and it also shows the community who you are and provides an effort to give back. Over the next year, I'd like to push forward on a couple different initiatives. I've done a little bit of homework on the podcast, so I know some of the people that have sat in this chair are part of those non-for-profits, so it would be great to partner with some of those groups going forward. Additionally, we went from 30 employees to when I started, and we're a little bit over 100.
Wow.
So we're going to continue to grow, and hopefully significantly, so we'll continue to give back in that capacity as well by providing jobs. And we have a great pipeline with the different schools in the area, especially some of the pharmacy schools for interns and direct employment out of college. So it's a bit of a different environment, like you said, from a Walgreens. So we feel like that we provide a really great culture to pharmacists, pharmacy technicians, customer service, technologists across the board.
Yeah, that is incredible. And you guys are a fairly new chamber member as well. So it's really awesome to hear you touch on all these things that, so many of our other chamber members who are viewers and listeners of the podcast really just haven't gotten to know you guys yet. So it's great that you're able to touch on some of those things. One of the things that I thought was really interesting is you guys don't just do prescriptions for people. You also do prescriptions for pets as well.
Yeah. That's another area where, we fit very uniquely the systems. And a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of the medications that people take, pets take as well. So there's a significant overlap there. And for the things that are specific to, our fuzzy friends, we offer that as well.
Yeah, that is awesome. And like I had mentioned before I asked about the pet thing, you guys are fairly new chamber members. So is there anything that you would like to share with our viewers and listeners about your company, about the uniqueness, about your just what people need to know if they haven't already known about you?
Yeah, sure. I think what's interesting as, from what I see it is the impact that a chamber member has and the Northern Kentucky kind of startup has at the macro level nationally. In the pandemic, as I kind of alluded to, we built some systems to allow the shipping of COVID tests. And at the end of that interaction, you would get facilitated one of our telemedicine providers to provide a Paxlovid prescription or the appropriate medication for you if you did test positive. It's really interesting to me. We actually had one of the large carriers in the area had to back off some of the product off of a plane because it couldn't launch. So to me, it's really cool that we had a Northern Kentucky company have that kind of impact on the nation at large.
Yeah, that is really awesome. And I only have a couple more questions for you, but one of the things, if there are people using like a standard pharmacy or they're doing online specialty ordering, what's something that you think would really make them switch to GoGo Meds?
Pricing and our customer service. We're very engaged. When you come through our website, you go to the top of our queues, and then we reach out and get your prescription in-house as soon as possible. There's multiple touch points. You always know where your medication is, when your next medication is going to be due for fill. If you're out of refills, we really do a great job of taking care of the patient end to end, and it's incredibly affordable.
Yeah, and that is awesome. Well, Cole, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Before I let you go, is there anything else you want to share about your company?
Not off the top of my head.
Well, how about we share how people can get in touch with you all?
Sure, yeah. Our website is gogomeds.com. hello@gogomeds is the email address. All of our contact information is on the page.
Awesome. Well, Cole, thank you again for being a podcast guest.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Spivey, and today's NKY at Work segment, we are going to meet Sheena Parton. Sheena, I understand you're with Huff?
Yes, I am.
But you're with the, Realty Relocation. So tell me a little bit about what that means and what your role is there with Huff.
So my role is I am the Director of Corporate Business Services. So my job is to support companies and their candidates that are relocating or transferring and providing them the support and services they need during that relocation move to take that stress and burden off of them. So basically we're caring and servicing and helping people.
And is that throughout the greater Cincinnati marketplace? Is that specific territory?
It can be local or globally. So
Okay.
That's our span.
So you work with companies probably in our market, but some companies are relocating people outside of our region, which makes me sad, but a lot of people are bringing people in, and we love that, right?
That is right.
That's right.
That's the best part about growing.
That's right. So when I hear from companies that are saying, I keep losing people because they don't like living here, why is that, and what are some things that you and your service provides that helps people get through that?
Nance, I would have to first ask you, the first question is, tell me more.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting, but that's not our experience. That's not what we're seeing on our end of especially relocation. And then I would have to follow up and say, so what are you doing to help attract that candidate? You're attracting them to your company, but then are you selling them on Northern Kentucky? We have to sell the area, especially if they're relocating here. We say let the company sell the candidate and let us come in and partner with you and sell the candidate on the area.
Okay.
And we can do that in a couple different ways. And 2 ways that we can help promote the Northern Kentucky area is by working with that company and offering what we call pre-decision area tours. And then those tours are customized to that candidate. And that creates excitement, but it also neutralizes those negative perceptions that they have of Kentucky. And it also creates a little wow factor. And it makes them feel important, that they can actually see the neighborhood. Feedback that we get, that people are surprised by the diverse housing market that we have here, and the affordability, especially if they're coming from the East Coast or West Coast or sometimes internationally. But then also we've realized a lot of in our history is German immigrants. So when a lot of German internationals come over, they fall in love with the landscape because it reminds them of Germany. And we have the 4 seasons, so that's kind of fun. The other part that we can also do is also provide, educate and provide resources that are custom to that candidate's needs, which can go anywhere from talking about Northern Kentucky's housing, our schools, our culture, and the entertainment. And as we all know, we have a great 2022 provided a lot of new restaurants for all of us, so we have a lot of younger folks and couples coming in that are foodies, so we can promote all those. So Northern Kentucky has lots of great assets.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to sell personally, but I know for me, I moved here from elsewhere, and just knowing I grew up here, left, and decided to relocate, and to see the change in the vibrancy, specifically in Northern Kentucky, is really phenomenal. So
Yes.
help me understand, like, for your role, though, do you work with realtors? Do you work with the tourism bureau? You work with housing? Are you a consultant? Help me understand, like, specifically your role.
So my role is I'm with Huff Realty Relocation, and we have a relocation team that stands behind every move. So we have agents who are Huff agents who are part of the relocation team, and not every agent qualifies to be part of that team. They have to be vetted, they have to be 2 years, they have to reach a certain dollar amount so we know that they can service our corporate clients and that they have the knowledge and expertise of the real estate market. So I guess I'm considered somewhat of a consultant. That's my role, is to provide resources and help educate our corporate clients or future corporate clients. Again, at the end of the day, it's all about servicing and taking care of people and helping to release that stress and burden of relocating or transferring.
So, Sheena, what should employers who are considering relocating a candidate keep in mind? What should they do? What are the steps they should take?
I would definitely say that the company and employer should probably look and see what benefits that they offer, if they're offering, and have written policies for relocation or mobility, and reevaluate those policies every year and make sure that they are still competitive and that they include best practices and that you sat down and reviewed those with your relocation partner. And if companies do not have those, that they should probably consider having that conversation and evaluate if that is a good tool and resource for them to include in their toolbox of resources when they're recruiting or trying to retain talent. And those written policies have, when we're speaking of best practice, there's probably 2 best practices that jump off of the top of my mind that would be important. Is one, when IRS comes to audit you, that you already have your policies in place. Relocation benefits are taxable and some are not taxable, and those definitely need to be in writing. But most of all, having a written policy and handing an employee a written policy and here's your relocation benefits and this is what we're offering you, that just speaks volumes. And it shows that you as a company, you're professional. It shows that you're the employer of choice. We had a candidate who came into town and they had 2 offers, and both companies were offering relocation to them. One company was a verbal, did not hand them a written policy. The other company presented them a written policy, but it also had services to support them in that transition. And of course, that is the employer that candidate chose to work for. And that candidate said, They looked organized. They took the time to write a policy. They were professional, and I felt valued because they handed me something, and this is what they're going to stand behind.
And
So-
it gives that candidate who, I know relocation's got to be a very big decision, especially if you have family and, depending on your circumstance, what all you're
Right.
giving up in order to relocate to a new area. And so it's certainly important to have all the ducks in a row and being able to review and evaluate. It's probably a very critical step forward for the employer and the candidate.
I totally agree, and I think it speaks volumes too as the candidate. Wow, this company understands the stress that this is placing on myself to make this decision. They're trying to make it easier for myself and family to transition to Northern Kentucky.
I know in our tight labor market, a lot of employers may be looking at doing relocation, and I don't know if the trend these days is to offer a lump sum, or what more can I do besides just offer a lump sum and hope that works?
Right. There's all different types of relocation programs that can be established, and the budget can range anywhere from services that Huff offers are free, and I know that sounds crazy that something's still free in today's market, but there are services that we can provide to employers that are free, and of course those packages and programs, have a value that depends on what they want. So back to the lump sum, a lump sum is a great offer. They just have to make sure that that lump sum is competitive, especially in today's market with the cost of goods and supply, the diesel fuel for moving companies, costs have gone up. So just make sure that that lump sum helps at least cover part of the move if that's the goal of the company, or they might have to look at increasing that lump sum a little bit more to offset that cost. But then if they also take that lump sum and maybe wrap it with, include a partner like Huff Relocation Services, where we can help provide that support and services and take some of that stress and burden off of the candidate and make that lifestyle change a little easier for them.
So if our employer members want to find out more and want to partner with you as they're working through that relocation process, how do they do that?
They can contact huffrealty.com and go under the relocation section. There should be our lovely pictures of all of us. They can click on that, or they can just reach out and contact me on social media. Sheena Parton. I'm on LinkedIn. Or just stop and go, hey, Sheena, we need help.
Yeah, we do see you out in the community quite a bit,
That's
so
right.
somebody can just come up to you and talk to you about it, right?
Perfect.
So help me also understand, how long have you been in this role, and what are the trends right now? Are you seeing more relocations, fewer, post-pandemic? What's going on in that relocation market right now?
The relocation market has definitely picked up since the pandemic. Not many people relocating. Most people are working from home, as we know. So we've actually seen an increase in some international folks coming over to this region, which is a great sign that there's movement and that the COVID restrictions have lifted. The biggest challenge right now is the tight housing market. The inventory of available houses for people to purchase creates a challenge when those are relocating. And our other challenge is the tight rental market that we have, the availability of rental. So it's taking sometimes a little longer to find our clients a place to call home. So we have to sometimes use temporary housing. And some days that's hard for the temporary housing partners too, to find apartments that they can lease. But at the end of the day, it all works out. You just keep trying and making it work, and that's what happens at the end of the day.
But it's something for recruiters to keep in mind, that it may take a little while for your candidate to actually get here, find housing,
And
get set up, and then start being productive in the office. So,
Right.
yeah.
And the part about being productive is, when they have a resource partner like Huff, we can help take that burden off the HR team and help take some of that burden off of their employees, so they can focus on the job and let us keep doing the searching and sending them availability versus them doing that. So we can kind of handle all that micro search stuff for them.
Great. Well, it sounds like you're a good partner, and it sounds like you're helping all of us drive this workforce forward. So appreciate you coming in.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shannon Schumacher, Account Executive, Kentucky Market Leader. At Haran, we champion bold innovation to help employers and individuals thrive. As an industry thought leader, we explore new horizons in healthcare, benefits, employee engagement, and wellness. We work harder to deliver all the strategic benefits, planning, and execution you expect from a true partner. And we do it with laser focus on your short and long-term outcomes to help manage your benefits while improving your employee experience.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Cole of GoGo Meds and Sheena from Huff Realty Relocation. I don't always say this, but please don't hesitate to reach out to these member businesses to find out ways that they can help you and your business. Thank you to our podcast sponsors, CVG, C-Crew Consulting, and Haran. Remember to register for our upcoming government forum featuring Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear on January 31st. You can do that at nkychamber.com/events or nkychamber.com/govforum. Finally, if you are a member who would like to be featured on the podcast, or if you're interested in becoming a member of the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, please reach out to Lynn Ablin. Or if you're interested in sharing your workforce strategies and resources on NKY at Work, please reach out to Nancy Spivey. You can find their contact information on the screen in front of you or at our staff directory at nkychamber.com. Thank you all so much for joining the podcast today. I'll talk to you next week.